From mountain villages to bustling capitals, the world speaks in steeples and stained glass. Among them, Catholic churches rise not just as buildings, but as echoes of centuries, each one a living symphony of belief, heritage, and devotion. Today, we unveil the 10 countries where these sacred landmarks flourish in breathtaking numbers. From the soaring domes of Europe to the hidden sanctuaries of the Americas and Asia, these nations stand as cathedrals of culture, shaped and sustained by the enduring rhythm of Catholic life. This journey will reveal where faith has built the deepest foundations, how these churches became cornerstones of daily existence, and why the legacy of Catholicism remains etched into the very landscape of civilization. Step beyond the threshold and into the countries that have opened more doors to faith than anywhere else on earth. Number 1, France. In France, faith doesn't simply dwell behind stained glass. It rises with the morning mist over vineyards, drifts through cobblestone streets, and hums in the air like an ancient lullaby. With tens of thousands of Catholic churches scattered across the country, France is less a nation with churches and more a nation built around them. From the coastal cliffs of Normandy to the sun-drenched hills of Provence, Catholic sanctuaries punctuate the landscape with quiet authority. Whether it's a stone chapel tucked between lavender fields or a soaring cathedral casting shadows over a medieval square, these sacred spaces are woven into the rhythm of French life. Some towns have cathedrals so grand they feel like open-air museums, their facades carved with angels and saints who've stood watch for centuries. Others harbor tiny country churches where candles flicker beside wooden pews worn smooth by generations of prayer. In these intimate spaces, history isn't just remembered, it's alive in the scent of incense and the echo of ancient hymns. At the heart of the capital, the alabaster domes of the Sacré-Cœur rise above Montmartre, glowing like a beacon above the city's shifting skyline. Its steps bustle with street performers and artists. But inside, silence reigns, broken only by whispered prayers and choral echoes. This is where Paris breathes in faith. Further south in Lyon, the Basilica of Notre-Dame de Fourvière stands like a crown above the city. Adorned with brilliant mosaics and flanked by towers reaching toward heaven, it becomes a sea of candles and voices each December when the Festival of Lights turns the city into a glowing tribute to the Virgin Mary. Yet France's spiritual map extends far beyond these icons. Romanesque chapels cling to alpine cliffs. Gothic spires pierce the skies above ancient trade towns. Village churches with moss-covered walls offer mass to a dozen farmers and shepherds, just as they did 100 years ago. More than 170 basilicas grace the country, each a monument to both God and grandeur. But it's in the thousands of everyday parishes, hidden in forests, nestled in vineyards, perched above river valleys, where faith reveals its most intimate face. The bells that chime in these places don't just mark the hour, they mark life itself. Baptisms, marriages, farewells, and feast days woven into the fabric of rural and urban existence. Inside, you'll find hand-painted frescoes beside centuries-old relics. Vaulted ceilings that once echoed with the footsteps of kings now shelter generations of ordinary believers. These churches are guardians of memory, museums of sacred art, and sanctuaries of tradition, untouched by time yet constantly alive. To journey through France is to pass through a gallery of devotion, each structure a stone-carved verse in the country's spiritual poem. Number 2, Germany. In Germany, Catholic churches do more than shape skylines. They anchor the soul of a nation. Rising from riverbanks, village greens, and bustling city centers, nearly 25,000 Catholic sanctuaries dot the landscape like timeless sentinels, each one a witness to the ebb and flow of centuries. From the windswept shores of the Baltic to the snow-dusted ridges of the Bavarian Alps, these churches stand not merely as buildings, but as sacred diaries carved in stone and stained glass. Some soar with the lace-like intricacy of Gothic arches that reach toward heaven, while others are grounded in Romanesque stillness, solid, enduring, and steeped in quiet strength. Germany's Catholic heritage is written into the very bricks of its towns. In every region, spires pierce the sky like exclamation marks of faith. Walk through a village square, and you may find a modest chapel nestled beside timber-framed homes, its bell tower ringing out not just the hour, but generations of memory, baptisms, funerals, weddings, harvest blessings, and prayers whispered during war and peace alike. Among the nation's 77 recognized basilicas, splendor and story converge. The Basilica of Cavalier, for instance, remains one of Germany's most beloved pilgrimage sites. For centuries, travelers have approached its gates, some on foot, others by torchlight procession, carrying candles, prayers, and unspoken hopes. Its air hums with devotion, as if the walls themselves remember every plea ever uttered beneath their vaults. Inside larger cities, cathedrals like St. Vitus dazzle the senses. Light streams through kaleidoscopic stained glass, painting the floors in shifting patterns as choirs rehearse centuries-old chants. At St. Johannes, carved stone walls seem to breathe with the weight of history. Every pew, every echo, holds the warmth of those who've come before, seeking solace, healing, or clarity. But Germany's churches are not silent relics. They're alive with ritual and rhythm. When festival days arrive, sacred doors swing open wide. Incense mingles with spring blossoms in cobblestone squares as processions move through the streets. Priests in golden vestments, children bearing flowers, choirs harmonizing with bells in a symphony of the sacred and the celebratory. In towns both grand and humble, the church is more than a place of worship. It's the living heart of community. One day it might host a requiem mass, the next an organ concert, an art exhibition, or a spirited debate in a vaulted hall echoing with history. Beneath ribbed ceilings and stone arches, spiritual and civic life blend in a uniquely German harmony. Scattered across the countryside, churches often appear like whispers from another age. Some perch on vineyard hillsides, others rise from meadows tucked behind weathered stone walls. A few still sit along the routes of medieval pilgrims, markers of faith on ancient roads once walked with blistered feet and boundless devotion. Every detail, whether a faded fresco, a worn threshold, or the solemn echo of a chant, carries the story of a people whose faith has endured through emperors and reformations, through silence and celebration, through ruin and rebirth. Number 3, Italy. In Italy, Catholicism doesn't reside only in scripture. It lives in marble columns, golden frescoes, and echoing domes. Faith is etched into the very architecture of the nation, flowing through narrow alleys of ancient towns and blossoming into grand basilicas that rise like prayers in stone. Nowhere else in the world does Catholic heritage unfold with such sheer intensity and visual poetry. What sets Italy apart is not just the vast number of churches, it's the soul they carry. Each basilica, each chapel, is more than a place of worship. It is a vessel of memory, devotion, and artistry that stretches across centuries. St. Peter's Basilica, reigning from the heart of the Vatican, towers as the epicenter of the Catholic world. Its colossal dome, an icon of sacred ambition, looms above the eternal city like a celestial crown. Inside, beneath its cavernous vaults, centuries of rituals echo. Coronations, canonizations, solemn masses spoken in dozens of languages. Every step across its marble floor is a walk through the living past. Not far away, Santa Maria Maggiore mesmerizes with glowing mosaics and sacred relics, its chapels lined with golden ceilings and glimmering icons. Streams of pilgrims and art lovers pass through its doors daily, some kneeling in silence, others gazing upward in awe, all drawn by something transcendent. In the hills of Umbria, the Basilica of St. Francis of Assisi offers a quieter reverence. Rising from the earth like a sanctuary carved from peace itself, it carries the humility and spiritual vision of the saint who once walked barefoot through its fields. The frescoes that adorn its walls are not just decoration. They are windows into an era of pure mystical belief. But Italy's sacred beauty doesn't end with its famed monuments. Across the peninsula, churches are scattered like gems, tucked into seaside villages, perched on alpine ridges, hidden among vineyards, or tucked into bustling city blocks. Some glow with Baroque opulence, others embrace raw simplicity. Inside, one may find Renaissance masterpieces side by side with local relics, altars hewn by unknown hands, or candles lit for prayers long since answered, or still waiting. These sanctuaries serve more than spiritual purpose. They record the heartbeat of generations. Weddings, baptisms, mourning processions, harvest blessings, all have passed through these doors. Each echoing nave has carried whispers of joy, sorrow, and hope across hundreds of years. What emerges is a mosaic of faith, stitched not only from grandeur, but from the small, quiet moments that define a spiritual life. To step inside an Italian church is not just to witness history, it's to feel it, breathe it, and walk beside it. Number 4. Spain. In Spain, Catholicism isn't merely practiced. It breathes through plazas, echoes from mountain chapels, and pulses beneath the cobblestones of every historic quarter. Across this deeply spiritual land, the sacred is not confined to grand cathedrals. It is threaded through daily life like gold in a tapestry, subtle, radiant, and enduring. From the mist-veiled highlands of Galicia to the sun-drenched coasts of Andalusia, churches rise in every direction. Some tucked against craggy hillsides, others standing boldly at the heart of bustling cities. Whether it's a whitewashed parish overlooking olive groves or a Gothic cathedral guarding a medieval square, each church is a touchstone of local identity, rooted in centuries of devotion and layered with stories passed down like heirlooms. At the heart of Spain's sacred architecture stands the awe-inspiring Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, Antoni Gaudi's towering dream of stone and light. Even incomplete, its spiraling towers command reverence, their surreal beauty a testament to how Catholic tradition in Spain often dances with daring imagination. Inside, sunlight filters through kaleidoscopic stained glass, casting moving rainbows onto pillars shaped like trees, a forest of faith sculpted in silence and color. Yet Spain's Catholic heritage doesn't rest solely in its icons. In Zaragoza, the Basilica of Our Lady of the Pillar draws pilgrims to its marbled halls to venerate the column said to be touched by the Virgin Mary herself. The air hangs heavy with incense and whispered prayers, as centuries of devotion echo beneath vaulted ceilings. Beyond these monumental sites, Spain's spiritual landscape unfolds in quieter corners. Weathered stone churches in sleepy villages still open their doors each morning. Wooden altars are crowned with wildflowers gathered by hand. Cracked bells, dulled with age, ring out for mass, for marriage, for mourning. Inside these sacred walls, time stretches. Ornate altarpieces shimmer in candlelight. Faded murals whisper legends of saints. Relics rest behind gilded grills, their stories guarded by generations. In these spaces, the past isn't preserved. It's alive, stirred by the footsteps of the faithful and the rhythms of holy festivals that fill the streets with color and song. And it is in the streets that Spanish Catholicism truly reveals its soul. Nowhere else does religious tradition merge so vividly with cultural expression. Processions wind through towns carrying statues of saints on beds of roses as drums beat and petals fall like confetti. Entire cities pause for feast days as flamenco rhythms mix with liturgical chants and firework sparks light up the night like sacred fire. Every region, every village, every parish contributes its own voice to the chorus of Spain's spiritual identity. Each church, no matter how remote, forms a thread in the vast spiritual web that stretches across the land, connecting generations, shaping traditions, and anchoring communities in a shared legacy of faith, beauty, and endurance. Number 5. United States. Across the vast expanse of the United States, Catholic churches stand like mile markers of belief, rising from desert towns, snowbound villages, and concrete jungles alike. This is a land where immigrant footsteps and native roots have shaped a faith as diverse as the country itself. From the Atlantic coastline to the Pacific cliffs, over 17,000 Catholic churches form a spiritual constellation across 50 states. These churches are not confined to a single language, culture, or style. They speak in many tongues, built by many hands. Gothic stone arches erected by Irish immigrants in Boston, Spanish-style missions dotting the sun-baked Southwest, clapboard chapels rising above golden fields in the Midwest. Here, Catholicism didn't just arrive. It adapted, multiplied, and became part of the American story. At the heart of this spiritual network are 90-plus basilicas, each a masterwork of faith and architecture. The National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception dominates the horizon with its vast domes and radiant mosaics. It is a sanctuary of epic scale, equal parts cathedral and canvas, where pilgrims from every walk of life kneel beneath ceilings that seem to touch heaven. In Minneapolis, the Basilica of St. Mary combines Baroque grandeur with Midwest charm, its twin spires rising above city streets like sentinels of hope. On the campus of Notre Dame, the Basilica of the Sacred Heart blends the solemn quiet of monastic tradition with the rhythm of university life, uniting generations in candlelight and chant. But the real beauty of Catholicism in the U.S. lies beyond its monumental churches. It pulses in the life of neighborhood parishes, where folding chairs become pews, potlucks follow Mass, and bilingual choirs fill the air with hymns that cross generations. On the East Coast, Irish and Italian enclaves keep alive centuries-old devotions. In the Southwest, Latino congregations transform liturgy into celebration with mariachis, colorful altars, and processions of saints under desert skies. In the rural heartland, small wooden steeples rise above cornfields like silhouettes of resilience, hosting baptisms and burials, fairs and fish fries. These churches are not just architectural relics, they're cultural strongholds, sanctuaries of memory, and engines of community life. Under their roofs, generations have been welcomed, mourned, married, forgiven, and inspired. Their walls absorb everything from whispered confessions to the joyful thunder of wedding bells. Even as the American landscape shifts, technologically, politically, and culturally, these churches remain unmoved in spirit. They serve as bridges between past and present, between immigrant and native-born, between tradition and reinvention. In their resilience, they remind a restless nation of something enduring, that faith, when rooted deeply, can grow in any soil. Number 6, Brazil. In Brazil, Catholicism is more than a tradition. It's a current running through mountains, jungles, cities, and coastlines, alive in music, movement, and memory. Here, churches don't just stand, they breathe. They rise from the chaos of urban boulevards, rest quietly in palm-shadowed villages, and peek from the dense green canopy of the Amazon like whispered promises of peace. The country's spiritual canvas is immense and wildly diverse. From the grandeur of Rio de Janeiro to the quiet curves of rural towns nestled beside riverbanks, Catholic churches number in the tens of thousands, an intricate web of sanctuaries that reflect the nation's soul. In every corner of Brazil, church bells ring out across sugarcane fields, concrete jungles, and sun-scorched plazas, calling people to prayer, celebration, and remembrance. At the center of this sacred geography stands the Basilica of Our Lady of Aparecida, one of the largest Marian shrines on earth. Its massive dome crowns the horizon like a celestial observatory, gazing out over the faithful who arrive in waves, on foot, on buses, some barefoot, others bearing flowers or candles lit with whispered intentions. During pilgrimages, the vast esplanade erupts with color and sound. Choirs echo beneath the open sky, banners flutter in the wind, and the scent of incense mingles with tropical air. But Brazil's Catholic identity isn't found only in its architectural titans. In São Paulo's Basilica of São Bento, the hum of the city fades at the threshold. Within, golden altars gleam beneath vaulted ceilings, while Gregorian chants float through columns heavy with sacred stillness. The morning Mass there seems to slow time itself, a spiritual breath in the city's relentless rhythm. In Recife, the Basilica of Our Lady of Mount Carmel offers another kind of haven. Intricate carvings catch the afternoon light, while shadows cool the marble floor. Here faith wraps itself in silence, history, and the flicker of candlelight that never seems to die. Still, it's far from just these grand sanctuaries that carry Brazil's spiritual weight. In towns too small to appear on most maps, whitewashed chapels sit beneath jacaranda trees, their wooden pews worn smooth by generations. Cracked bells swing from humble towers. Masses are held in open air when churches overflow, sometimes spilling into the streets where locals gather with guitars, drums, and voices raised in joy. These modest parishes are the beating heart of Brazilian Catholic life. They hold the memories of every baptism, every wedding, every grief-stricken vigil and festival procession. Some are born from colonial roots, others from indigenous or Afro-Brazilian influences, each one a mosaic of Brazil's cultural and spiritual fusion. In every region, faith takes on a local rhythm. In the south, solemn processions wind through misty valleys. In the northeast, celebrations burst with music, dance, and fire. Along the Amazon, Mass may be delivered by canoe, while jungle birds echo the call of ancient chants blended with the gospel. The Catholic spirit here is uncontainable, lively, resilient, and deeply human. Whether in gilded basilicas or hand-built chapels, Brazil's churches stand not only as places of worship, but as the living memory of a people whose devotion has weathered colonization, conflict, and change, yet never lost its joy. Number 7, Poland. In Poland, the Catholic faith is not simply practiced, it is lived, breathed, and passed down like a sacred inheritance. Churches are not isolated landmarks here. They are woven into the very rhythm of Polish life, rising like sentinels from cobblestone squares, sunflower fields, and forested hills. Across the country, a stunning array of churches, numbering in the tens of thousands, anchors communities from the smallest countryside parishes to historic city centers. Their bells don't just call the faithful to Mass. They mark the passing of seasons, commemorate saints, and echo through generations of weddings, funerals, and national prayers whispered during moments of both celebration and crisis. The Jasna Gora Monastery in Częstochowa stands as the spiritual heart of the nation, a fortress of faith wrapped around the Black Madonna, whose mysterious gaze has drawn pilgrims for centuries. The air inside is heavy with reverence. Candles flicker in silence, and the worn stones beneath your feet bear the weight of millions of footsteps taken in hope, penitence, and devotion. Elsewhere, in the city of Leeken, the Basilica of Our Lady of Leeken rises in dazzling proportions, its domes gleaming like a crown of light. It is one of the largest churches built in modern Europe, a bold expression of Poland's enduring faith and resilience, a physical answer to centuries of invasion, repression, and rebirth. In Krakow, St. Mary's Basilica presides over the city's main square like a storybook castle. Its twin towers reach skyward with quiet defiance, one slightly taller than the other, a reminder of legend and local pride. Each hour, a trumpeter plays the Hejnał Mariacki from the highest tower, cutting off mid-melody to honor the centuries-old tale of a watchman struck by a Mongol arrow. This daily ritual transforms sound into symbol, blending history, music, and devotion. But beyond the monumental lies Poland's beating spiritual heart, the village church. Modest yet deeply personal, these are the places where wooden crosses lean gently in the grass, where altars are adorned with wildflowers, and where grandmothers teach children how to cross themselves before entering. Each wall holds memories, wartime weddings, secret baptisms during occupation, and Christmas vigils lit by trembling candlelight. Poland's Catholic culture is tactile and celebratory. During Corpus Christi, flower-strewn processions wind through the streets. At Easter, families carry baskets of blessed eggs and bread. Saints' days turn towns into sanctuaries of song, incense, and color. Whether in an ornate basilica or a barn-converted chapel, the rituals remain rooted in something far deeper than tradition. They are expressions of identity. Here, Catholicism is not just preserved in relics and liturgies. It lives in folk embroidery, in church choirs echoing through mountain valleys, in votive offerings left at roadside shrines, and in the hush that falls when the priest lifts the Eucharist beneath vaulted ceilings or under the open sky. Number 8, India. In India, Catholicism does not simply exist. It flourishes in a vibrant spectrum of sounds, textures, and traditions. Scattered across this vast and diverse subcontinent are thousands of churches, some ancient, others new, all pulsing with a faith that has woven itself into the fabric of Indian life. These churches aren't just places of worship. They are sanctuaries of synthesis, where the sacred meets the soul of the land. From coastal towns to jungle enclaves, India's Catholic churches rise like quiet islands of devotion in a sea of spiritual diversity. They speak not in uniformity, but in harmony, expressing one faith through many cultures, from Goa to Tamil Nadu, Kerala to Nagaland. The result is a uniquely Indian Catholic identity, shaped by centuries of missionary zeal, colonial imprint, and deep-rooted local tradition. One of the most iconic is the Basilica of Bom Jesus in Goa. Its weathered white facade holds within it a shrine of global significance, the tomb of St. Francis Xavier, whose remains draw pilgrims from around the world. Inside, incense thickens the air, and silence hums like a prayer as visitors file past the relic of a saint who once walked the shores of this very land. In the south, devotion takes a different shape. At the Basilica of Our Lady of Good Health in Velankani, Tamil Nadu, massive processions unfold beneath monsoon skies. Thousands walk barefoot, sari-clad women carry flower-strewn offerings, and chants echo in Tamil and Latin alike. Napishorm. But India's Catholic spirit can't be confined to its grand basilicas. It lives in tiny hilltop chapels nestled among Kerala's spice plantations, where Mass is sung in Malayalam and jasmine crowns the Virgin Mary. It hides in the Gothic shadows of Mumbai's towering cathedrals and whispers through the forests of the Northeast, where tribal mission churches blend Christian ritual with indigenous soul. Here, the Roman liturgy dances to Indian rhythms. Incense mixes with sandalwood. Marian icons wear garlands of marigold. The Eucharist is followed by feasts under banyan trees, and choirs lift their voices in languages as diverse as Konkani, Tamil, Hindi, and English. Sacred rituals pass from grandmother to grandchild, not only as acts of worship, but as celebrations of belonging. In India, Catholicism has not merely adapted to its surroundings, it has transformed. It became a living dialogue between East and West, ancient and modern, ritual and festival. Churches are not just stone and stained glass here. They are spaces where the divine is dressed in color, sung in melody, and carried in procession down crowded streets and quiet mountain paths. As the day fades and twilight sweeps across village steeples and city spires, bells begin to ring, not in unison, but in a layered chorus. They ring out across temples, mosques, and gurdwaras, joining a broader spiritual soundscape. And in that harmony, India's Catholic voice sings boldly, distinct, radiant, and unmistakably its own. Number 9, Colombia. In Colombia, Catholicism is not simply practiced. It blooms like orchids in the highlands, surging through the country's veins with color, song, and deep-rooted reverence. Across emerald valleys, misty mountains, and sun-soaked plazas, churches rise like lighthouses of the soul, guiding generations through both hardship and hope. From the lush coffee slopes of Antioquia to the jagged ridges of the Andes, Catholic churches dot the landscape like sacred footprints. These aren't just buildings, they're beating hearts of the community. In every village and town, parishes ring with life, morning bells calling the faithful, choirs rehearsing for feast days, and families gathering for baptisms, weddings, or silent prayers whispered beneath stained glass windows. Among Colombia's sacred treasures stand its revered basilicas, each one a tapestry of miracles, devotion, and national pride. The Basilica of the Lord of Miracles in Buga is perhaps the most beloved. Thousands make pilgrimages to its doors each year, traveling by foot, bus, or faith alone. Inside, the atmosphere is electric yet hushed, thick with incense and unspoken stories. Where the desperate find hope, the grateful offer thanks, and the curious seek something greater than themselves. To the north, the national shrine of Our Lady of the Rosary of Chiquinquirá glows as a beacon of Colombia's spiritual identity. Draped in floral garlands and crowned with candlelight, this sanctuary pulses with energy during feast days, its walls echoing with chants, parades of dancers, and prayers carried on the wind. More than a holy site, it is a cultural heartbeat, where the sacred and national intertwine in one radiant celebration. But faith in Colombia is not confined to grand basilicas. It lives in the everyday churches tucked between sugarcane fields and nestled atop Andean cliffs, where simple wooden altars host rituals that have outlasted centuries. Here, Catholicism isn't a relic of the past. It's a living dialogue between the divine and the daily. Shrines by dusty roads, murals of saints in vibrant barrios, and rosaries swinging from taxi mirrors all speak to a devotion that transcends formality and speaks from the soul. These sacred spaces are more than just architectural wonders. They are sanctuaries of memory, resilience, and unity. Within their walls, you'll find both the quiet hush of personal prayer and the joyous explosion of processions through crowded streets. In times of crisis, they become places of healing. In moments of joy, they become epicenters of celebration. Every candle lit in a Colombian church is a thread in a larger fabric of shared faith, a connection that binds communities, preserves ancestral customs, and renews hope across generations. Here, religion is not passive. It is danced, sung, carried in procession, and woven into the identity of a nation. Number 10. Mexico. In Mexico, Catholicism doesn't live in the margins. It rises boldly from city skylines, rests quietly in mountain villages, and breathes through the soul of a people whose identity is inseparable from devotion. With thousands of churches scattered across the country, faith is not something you seek in Mexico. It surrounds you. From the narrow alleys of Oaxaca to the sprawling plazas of Guadalajara, Catholic churches are everywhere. Some crowned with gilded domes, others weathered by sun and time. They don't merely exist in sacred spaces, they exist in everyday life. Street vendors sell rosaries outside their doors, mariachis perform for saints' feast days, and families gather in candlelight to pray for the departed and celebrate the living. At the heart of Mexico's religious landscape stands the Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe in Mexico City, an epicenter of faith like no other. Its architecture may be modern, but what fills it is ancient. Millions of footsteps, songs of praise, and tears of gratitude. Each December, a human river pours into the city, pilgrims walking for miles, some on their knees, to pay homage to La Virgen de Guadalupe, whose image is more than sacred. It is national, but Mexico's spiritual geography extends far beyond this singular shrine. Across the country, 27 basilicas serve as storied landmarks of divine mystery and cultural pride. In Monterrey, Nuestra Señora del Roble is embraced for its radiant processions and centuries-old traditions rooted deeply in local hearts. In Jalisco, the Basilica of Our Lady of Zapopan glows with reverence. Its candlelit courtyards transformed into gardens of celebration during grand festivals that blend indigenous dance, Catholic liturgy, and bursts of fireworks into one transcendent spectacle. Mexico's churches are not simply destinations, they are milestones. Generations have baptized their children, married their partners, and bid farewell to loved ones within their stone walls. The air inside carries the scent of incense, mingled with the faint perfume of marigolds and melted wax. Murals of saints watch quietly as choirs sing, and candles flicker beneath hand-carved wooden ceilings. What truly sets Mexico apart is how seamlessly faith and daily life are entwined. Churches aren't hidden, they are focal points. They rise above markets selling tamales and textiles, cling to hillsides where agave fields stretch into the distance, and sit nestled among colonial streets where time seems to bend. The bell towers ring not only with liturgical rhythm, but with cultural memory. Even as Mexico's cities modernize and glass towers reflect the ambition of a new era, the churches remain solid, weathered, unshaken. They are keepers of stories, witnesses to revolutions, silent companions to every changing generation. Their presence is not a memory of something lost, but a promise of something still alive. These sacred spaces are more than historical treasures. They are voices of continuity, living monuments built not just from stone, but from centuries of faith, love, and resilience that refuse to fade. Which of these incredible countries would be at the top of your list to explore? Or do you have a favorite sacred site that wasn't featured in this video? We'd love to hear about the churches, shrines, or chapels that have inspired you. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this journey through the world's most awe-inspiring Catholic churches fascinating, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the channel for more stories where faith, architecture, and culture come together. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, keep discovering the beauty that lives where history and spirituality meet.